The Vexithara were apex predators of the Andromeda sector, four-legged hunters with obsidian scales, razor-sharp claws, and eyes that glowed like dying stars. Their homeworld, Krevnar, was a death trap of acidic swamps and creatures that made Earth's dinosaurs look like house pets. For 3 million years, nothing had challenged their dominance. Their young were taught to hunt before they could properly walk, trained in the ancient ways of intimidation and conquest. So when the human research vessel Curiosity's End crash-landed in their sacred hunting grounds, the Vexithara elders saw it as an omen and an opportunity. Dr. Sarah Chen emerged from the wreckage with nothing but a broken arm, an emergency medical kit, and the kind of stubborn optimism that had gotten humanity through ice ages, world wars, and the Great Mars Famine of 2247. She was a xenobiologist, and despite her dire circumstances, her first thought wasn't survival, it was documentation. "Oh my God," she breathed, staring at the 3 juvenile Vexithara circling her crash site. "You're magnificent." The cubs, each the size of an Earth tiger but infinitely more deadly, had been sent by their pack to test the strange alien. It was tradition. Scare the prey, learn its weaknesses. Report back. The eldest cub, Kreshtal, had personally killed a Gormath serpent at 6 months old. This would be easy. They began the ritual of intimidation. Kreshtal rose on his hind legs, towering 3 meters tall, and released a roar that shattered the crystalline trees nearby. The sound had made veteran warriors void their bowels in terror. The vibrations could stop a heart at close range. Sarah laughed. Not a nervous laugh. Not a frightened giggle. A genuine, delighted laugh of pure joy. "Oh, you are so going in my journal." She pulled out a battered tablet that had somehow survived the crash and began taking notes. Vocalization appears to be multi-frequency, possibly used for both communication and hunting. The resonance suggests specialized vocal chambers. The cubs exchanged confused glances. This wasn't in the protocol. The second cub, Mirax, tried a different approach. She activated her species' famous chromatophore display, her scales shifting through patterns designed to induce primal terror. Spirals that triggered nausea, colors that screamed poison, shapes that ancient instincts recognized as death itself. "Beautiful," Sarah gasped, stepping closer despite her broken arm. "It's like a cuttlefish but evolved for terrestrial predation. The pigmentation cells must be neurologically controlled. Can you do that again?" Myrax, for the first time in her young life, felt something she'd never experienced: uncertainty. The third cub, Thorax, the smallest but most vicious, decided to end this farce. He lunged, claws extended, moving with the killing speed that had made the Vexithara the terror of 12 star systems. Sarah didn't run. She couldn't, not with her injuries. Instead, she did something that would be studied by xenopsychologists for the next century. She held up her hand. Not in surrender. Not in defense, just held it up, palm forward, in the universal gesture that humans used for wait or stop, or sometimes just hello. Thorax's instincts screamed at him to complete the strike. But something about the gesture, about the absolute lack of fear in the human's eyes, about the way she stood there expectantly. As if she knew he would stop, he stopped. His claws halted a centimeter from her throat. "Good boy," Sarah said softly, in the same tone humans had used for thousands of years with creatures they were trying to befriend. "You're just testing me, aren't you? You're not actually going to hurt me." And then she did the unthinkable. She reached out with her good hand and scratched behind the ridge of his skull where, unbeknownst to her, Vexithara had a nerve cluster that, when stimulated, produced a sensation of comfort and safety typically associated with parental grooming. Thorax's mind went blank. His threatening posture collapsed. A sound emerged from his throat that no Vexithara warrior had made since cubhood. A purr. "I knew it," Sarah exclaimed triumphantly. "Mammalian analogs, or at least parallel evolution of social bonding mechanisms." By the time the Vexithara elders arrived, prepared to collect their cubs and finish the alien threat, they found a scene that challenged every assumption of their culture. The human had fashioned a shelter from the ship's debris. She'd set her own broken arm using a splint and medical foam. She'd identified 3 native plants that were edible, to her biology, at least, and 2 that could be used as antiseptic. And she was teaching the cubs to play fetch. "See? You bring the branch back and then I throw it again," she explained patiently to Kreshtal. who sat with rapt attention, his tail swishing in a way that denoted extreme interest. It's about trust building and cooperative behavior. We did this with wolves about 40,000 years ago. And look how that turned out. Dogs are humanity's best friends now. The pack elder, Varthax, who had personally led raids against the Krillian Empire and made entire planets surrender through reputation alone, watched in stunned silence. The human has corrupted them, suggested his second. No, Varthax said slowly, watching Sarah laugh as Mirax attempted to mimic the human's bipedal stance and nearly toppled over. She has done something worse. She has befriended them. When the rescue ship arrived 3 weeks later, the human Commonwealth Navy found Dr. Chen alive, healthy, and surrounded by a pack of 30 Vexthara, who reacted to any approaching vessel with coordinated hostility, until Sarah stepped forward and waved them down. It's okay. Guys, she called to the alien predators. They're with me. The cubs, now fully integrated into the pack but still devoted to the strange furless alien who had laughed at their threats, took up protective positions around her. In the decades that followed, Sarah Chen became the first human to establish formal diplomatic relations with the Vexthara collective. She learned that they valued courage above all else, and that their culture had no framework for prey that didn't run. She'd confused them, then intrigued them. Then, in that peculiarly human way of turning enemies into friends through sheer stubborn kindness, she'd won them over. Kreshtal, Mirax, and Thorax grew into legendary warriors. But they never forgot the alien who had seen them not as monsters, but as magnificent creatures worthy of study and friendship. They became her honor guard, her cultural liaisons, her friends. When asked by a galactic news reporter how she'd survived, Sarah just smiled. I'm human, she said simply. We've been making friends with dangerous predators since before we discovered fire. It's kind of our thing. Behind her, 3 massive Vexthara warriors, each capable of tearing through reinforced battle armor, lounged contentedly, their scales shifting through colors that xenolinguists had identified as meaning pride, contentment, and family. The galaxy learned an important lesson that day. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their tactics. It was their inexplicable ability to look at something designed by evolution to kill them and think, I'm gonna pet that.